A lot of you'll probably think that I'm crazy. Well, the thing is, I'm a little bit insane, but I love being that way. And I find myself to be more stable than most people that I meet. In fact, pretty much everyone I meet. In the way that I can do deep breathing meditation and calm myself down. And I even quit smoking the beautiful herbs that I love, just to prove that you can use them and come down and, you know, be normal. But what's crazier than me is believing that you come from monkeys when there is a serious lack of evidence. And I'll put a link, I haven't even found it yet, but I'll put a link in the description of this video that suggests that there are not enough skeletons, no skeletal data. There should be, what, hundreds of thousands of skeletons of in between apes and us. That would make more sense, wouldn't it, if we came from monkeys? So there's that theory right out. As for gravity and the flat earth and how people seem to trick themselves into believing what the education system is teaching them, yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but if gravity was a thing and that's what's holding us all to a ball, right, which is crazy to think that in the first place, no wonder they want us to believe that and teach us that for like 12 years of our lives. How come the oceans, which are a large amount of weight, very many billions of kilograms, how come they don't just fly off into space? And how come someone like you that doesn't weigh anywhere near the same amount as that, all you have to do is a slight little push with your knees and you can jump into the air? How does that make any sense? So you can jump and you leave the ground, if only for a few seconds or a second. But the oceans, oh, they're just stuck. They're not, you know. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if gravity is keeping you pulled down to this ball, which it's not a ball, but let's just theorize here, how come the oceans and other things, masses of water I mean, stay completely still and level and never ever show signs of curving under any of the experiments that I've seen flat earthers and actually globe earthers doing? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So there's two big things that they've taught us that are a lie. Now we're all in this scenario together, and I can't really do much at the moment because I'm not employed. So I'm living on a very tight budget, and I would love to be able to do more research and create more awesome videos for everyone. But I can't exactly do that with the pittance that I get from the government. And I'm not overly excited to be unemployed, so I might possibly go and look for work and get employed. But then the problem is that I'll get busy in the slavery monetary system because I need to have money in this slavery monetary system. Now, this world could be a lot better off. The people in this world could be a lot better off if they questioned things and became more skeptic. But we should also have faith, because all religions are all teaching one thing basically, which is that there is a creator. There is some sort of creator, and I'm not talking about a man in a chair. I'm not talking about the Christian God or any specific God. I'm just saying there seems to be divinity to our creation, and it seems like we didn't come from monkeys, as I just mentioned before, because there's a serious lack of skeletal data. So what are we? And what is this? Now, if the oceans are that much heavier than you, you'd think that they'd just fly off, because if you've ever held a wet tennis ball and thrown it into the air and spun it, all the water flies off. Now, these are all things that I would like to do for the way that I would like to spend my time is making music and educating people to question things. There's nothing better than questioning the narrative. Because another thing that I'll mention briefly is all of the governments, our governments around the world, I shouldn't say around, but all over the realm, all of the governments, they've all borrowed money. From who? When they started their little countries, they borrowed money. And if you look into it, you can find out who they have borrowed the money from. Interestingly enough, there are families, you can call them banking cartels, whatever you want, the elite. They lent us this money, they lent our governments this money, but they lent it to us and said that we owe them an interest, which, once again, is in the Bible and in a lot of people's opinions, usury, and I'm pretty sure usury is frowned upon. But anyway, regardless of the usury, let's just talk about this interest. So let's say they printed us $10,000 in the beginning, and they wanted it back with interest. Well, where does that interest come from? And where are we going to find it? Because the only way we can pay them back is with the money that they lent us. So there was only $10,000 in the beginning. They want it back with interest. That doesn't work. That money can never exist. So to pay them back, we're going to have to borrow more money, which they want back with interest. Are you getting the picture? Is that making sense? And cryptocurrency is very interesting. You know, I was into it for a long while, and I still know how to use it very well. But I'm hesitant now because it's all entangled with the monetary system. Hence why our governments are now introducing, what are they? CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Fascinating stuff. So basically what I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter whether it's crypto or whether it's the local currency of your government. We are expected as nations, governments are expected to pay these families or these corporations, entities, back with interest. How are we ever going to do that? As you've just figured out, that interest can never and will never exist. Hence why, if you go and look at the US's debt clock and the Australian debt clock, they are climbing at a very fast rate. And where's that going to leave us? Well, basically it's going to leave us in a world where we have to keep doing this and keep getting into debt, and our children and their children and their children are going to owe a lot of money because we are all the government. As far as that's the name that we've given to our current systems. Government, which is Latin for controlling your mind or controlling the mind. So my suggestion would be that we need to have a gold-backed currency, and leaders who have suggested this, like JFK, yeah, well, we all remember what happened to JFK. So gold-backed currencies, if they are upsetting the status quo to the point where they are knocking people off, well, then that might be a good idea to look into. So gold-based currencies could possibly get us out of this mess. It's a finite resource, and there is more being harvested or mined, but that's not the point. The point is that there is only so much of it. And people might argue that Bitcoin is the same, but Bitcoin is a digital currency. And honestly, probably not the smartest move in the world is to head first into these murky digital waters without understanding exactly what we're doing here. So, yeah, people can think I'm crazy for calling myself Lord Brahma, but from what I've experienced in my lifetime. That is what I would like to say and create myself to be. But I still am Tobias Glenn Owens. And there will be no changing my name that my parents gave me. That is my name. Unfortunately, I understand that once you are written on a birth certificate and you've got all your little tax file numbers and all these other numbers, barcodes that they give you, well, then you stop becoming a living being which has rights. And you start becoming a name, and a name has no rights. It is an inanimate object. It doesn't have living rights like you do. And that's why I choose to not put so much emphasis on the legal name, and I have fun with it, because people are not understanding that they are not their name. Even though they can identify with their name, they are a collection of water and elements from this place, this world that we reside in. And they don't need to believe anything like identifying with a name. That is forced upon us through the education system and through reinforcement from our surrounding peoples. So, where are we at in this video? And where do you find yourself now in your mind? Because from what I can see, we're living in a fraud, and there is very little doubt about that at this point, and a lot of people are talking about this, and I'll get into more of these subjects, but I really do highly suggest that I have enough money to make my ends meet at least as well as I can. If we want to create the golden age like I keep talking about, then we're all going to have to work together. And I'm willing to sacrifice a lot of my time and energy to this goal. In fact, all of my time and energy basically goes to this goal. It's just a bit hard when I'm in a situation where I'm trying to take care of my loved ones financially, and I would love if people can comment on this and do the mathematics and the statistics here, but I'm pretty sure that there are far more homeless people than there are jobs available. And even if you get a job, it's usually a minimum wage thing, unless you've gone and, went to university and gotten into a huge debt, tens of thousands of dollars, maybe more, just so that you can get a well-paying job and try to attempt to pay off these debts. But who do we owe this money to, and why do we need this when education should be free? Our government, well, that should be a system or some form. Like, we could change the name to anything we want, really. It could just be, I came up with it the other day, but I've forgotten it now. But yeah, basically it's just a self-governance system, the SGS or something like that, self-governing system. But to do that, we're going to have to be sovereign. And being sovereign means ruling yourself. And to rule ourselves might cause a bit of chaos. So that is a bit intimidating. But unfortunately, where we stand is not on a ball. And don't you find it fascinating that the sun is apparently so much further away than the moon, and yet they appear to be, I'm not sure on the exacts here, but they appear to be the exact same size. So is this all just random happening on the edge of some big bang? Or is this a creation that was created for you and for me and for everyone here, and the animals and the plants? Ponder upon that. So anyway, what I'm basically going to ask is, anyone who sees this, who has like $2, $3 spare, if you would like to see some serious change, I would ask kindly that you consider donating to the Golden Age Fund. Now, if you're seeing this video, chances are that you can easily find a link to it, but I'll put a link in the description of this video. Now, the Golden Age Fund is an interesting idea that I've come up with, and I am yet to put any money in myself, even though I said that I would. But that's because I'm very interested to see, especially from the Indian continent, but the Indian countries and nations in that area, you know, I'm yet to see anyone show any interest to this, even though Lord Brahma is a part of their culture and religion. So to me, it's hugely disrespectful that people are just flat out ignoring me. Mate, I would love to be challenged on this. I would love it. But the reason no one challenges me is because they can't. Because I'm not lying. Nobody likes lies. I am not one to like a liar. But I am telling the truth here. This is not a joke. And yes, I might be slightly crazy, but you have to be crazy to exist in this world. This world is crazy. So anyway, Golden Age Fund, if you have even $2, $3 to spare, it would help greatly. And all funds will be receipted. All spendings will be documented. Everything will be known. And I will not spend the money on myself. I will prove every single dollar and what it is spent on. So, for now, things that I would like you to consider when you're leaving this video and going about your regular life is, why are we all so busy with our slave jobs and our slave devices that keep our eyes and minds enslaved by scrolling and entertainment? We should be creating reality, because it's not just about consuming, and consuming is not just about eating. Consuming is consuming. Anytime you're consuming information, we're flooded with pointless garbage and nothingness, while our families are sitting beside us doing the same thing, and we're missing out on family time because we don't want to spend any time with each other anymore, talking and getting to know each other, because we're all busy staring at a screen, which they say that mirrors are like one way that captures your soul, like photos and like this video even. But I don't mind capturing my soul in this format because I'm trying to do something productive for everyone. But once again, mirrors in our hands all day long, and we're looking into them. Even if we can't see our reflection, it's something that's capturing our essence, our image. Now, what I will leave you with is this. How can you have a pressurized gaseous environment like we live in, like we reside with and breathe in all day, every day? If you do a breathing meditation, you will focus upon this fact. Deep breathing. Thank you, God, for my breath. If you focus upon the breathing, you will come to the realization that we live in this gaseous environment with things that we can breathe to stay alive. But they say that space is empty and that there's no air, and so it's like a vacuum. And that the gravity is the thing that's keeping the air close to the world. But really have a think about it. How come there's no wall keeping it in? Because all vacuum experiments require a wall to keep the vacuum separate from the pressurized environment. And I know that those experiments are backwards because we're talking about the gas on the inside this time and the vacuum on the outside. But it's irrelevant, isn't it? We know for a fact that that doesn't work. So is this world a world that you and I created and the Creator created before we came here, divinely planned from some sort of spiritual place? Or are you just a evolved monkey that there is no evidence to substantiate the claim of? Do you really think that you are just an ape? Do you really think that? Or are you God? Because if you're God, then we need to do something about the situation that we find ourselves in. Because in the Vedic religion or culture, there are two energies inside us. One is God and one is the devil. And they are inside us, manifest as things that we hear. And the CIA has patents that go back to when television was first invented. And the patents are, regardless of what's coming through visually on the screen and audibly through the speakers, they can send different messages successfully into your brain as thoughts. Now, isn't that a bit scary, but also good to know? Good information to have. Look up that patent. I'll try and link it in the description of this video, actually. It's a good idea. Now we're carrying around really advanced televisions constantly in our pockets everywhere we go. So back to the whole idea of us having the God and the devil, or they call it in the Vedic culture. So the gods are known as, oh, I'm blanking on this right now, which is weird because I say it all the time. The gods are known as the Devas, 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 and the demons are known as the Asuras. Now, these are both inside of us by the understanding of many of the books that are in the culture. Now, the books are called the Vedas, Vedas. Highly suggest that you look into that, because a lot of people are just blindly following the Bible, which I'm not saying not to do that, because the Bible is very morally on point in a lot of ways. And the Ten Commandments are wise guidance for us to follow. But I wouldn't just put all of your faith in Christianity and the Bible, because there is a war going on, and it is not a world war in the classic sense of what we know a war to be. There is a war going on for our minds and bodies. It's a spiritual war. And they do not want you to know that you are creating your reality with your words and your thoughts. A lot of people have thought and talked about the law of attraction and creating like that. But are they really considering every element to this? The vibrations. So basically, I would like to summarize by saying, which are you going to choose to be? Do you want to be the Deva, the God self? Or do you want to be the Asura, the unconscious self? Because either way, you are one. You are definitely not an evolved monkey, and you have more power than you realize. I'm going to leave it here. Please donate to the Golden Age Fund if you can. I would greatly appreciate it. And we can make some real magic happen here and really do some good. But either way, I'm going to be pushing for it by myself. So, I mean, basically, join in and have fun, or don't and try to have fun. But regardless of that, you need to do more research. And I don't suggest using Google to do it. Use DuckDuckGo. And I'm not even sure if they censor or manipulate the results like Google do. But you want to use something more independent than Google, because Google is the thought police. And they will make sure that you go where they want you to go and show you what they want you to see. So, might be time to do a little bit less scrolling on social media and a little bit more researching, because we have almost the entire human knowledge on our devices, and yet all we do is mindlessly scroll for entertainment. So anyway, God, hope to see you soon. Hope you're having a great time, whatever you're doing. Blessings to your soul, blessings to your family, and namaste. My soul recognizes your soul, and we can get this together. Talk soon. See you soon.